Morning. Patsy Nelson, morning. David Clark, Roxanne King, morning. Felix Hospedales, Serena Jennings, Alberta Sampath, morning to all of you. Morning, Hillbench, Dave Rubin, Freddie Williams, morning. Angela Carty, morning. And Jennifer Dorset, morning to you. Morning, Alison. Morning, Diane.
Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Oh, sleeping time. I was in the laboratory when somebody showed me him. Somebody said that I'm not today. The boss would take care of them. And in this crowd was singing loud, going to the convention. When we walk in, big spin and ting, oh Lord, what a session. In the hand was a plan and he start to jam. He hit them bam, bam, bam. Somebody say you got to like the man, he has a touch of Eric William. Hallelujah. We ain't making no total mistake. Hallelujah. What the opposition get, they go take. Hallelujah. When I say okay, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Get all your room, we sweep in this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. Hallelujah. Lights in the tail. Hallelujah. Great is the BNM. It shall prevail. Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Sleeping time. One nation is one people today, a dynamic diversity. A party strong because all along we celebrate our plurality. Equality right across the board, everybody have a chance. That's why all around every place in town is locals leading the dance. We're talking about the ultra-modern social infrastructure. Education become priority one on the national agenda. Hallelujah. We ain't making no dotage mistake. Hallelujah. So when them opposition get, they go take. Hallelujah. And when I say okay, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Bring all your food, we sleep in this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. 50 years on this train. Hallelujah. Great is the BNM. It shall prevail. Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Sleeping time. Get your room now.
Sweeping time indeed. Good morning. Morning. John Edwards, good morning. Morning, Angela. Pamela Moses, good morning. Maria Lyons, morning. Stephen Martel. Pauline Buckmeyer, good morning to you. Denise Coggins, Natalie Joseph Bishop, morning. Kenneth Gabriel Listra Dematas, good morning. Morning, Alison Boyce, morning. Morning, Angie. I haven't seen Angie pop up yet, but Marian Edwards, Patty Kutu, proud to be Trini. Yes, bring out the brooms. Lisa Atwater, good morning. Right, let me jump into it because I have another early Tuesday morning, so I'm not going to be that long this morning. Yeah, on this, the 27th day of July 2023. So it is the 33rd anniversary of the 1990 coup. Yes, 33 years ago. At this point in time, we would not have been aware as to what was to come later on in the afternoon. So I think Wendell Eversley is supposed to be doing his walk this morning from Arima to the Red House, as he has been doing for the last few years. So you all can give him that moral support. I don't know if they have any events planned at the cenotaph, or not the cenotaph, sorry, at the Eternal Flame at the Red House. I know for the last couple of years they will lay a wreath, the speaker and other persons. So we will see how that goes. So good morning to Wendell. I think he probably started his walk already. Normally would have started around 6. So Annette Bear, Claire Irish, good morning to all of you as well. Nicole Caesar, morning. Right, so as I said, I'm not going to be that long today, but I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Well, last night, I didn't get to take in the PNM meeting last night, so I'll have to replay to hear what was said, but I'm sure that it was as informative as it always is. Let's see. Right, so I'm being told Ruben Elder is saying Dr. Lee is on TV6 as we speak. Yeah, so they're doing what they need to do. And of course, I had as my guest last night, Foster Cummings, Minister of Youth Development and National Service. It was certainly a very informative interview. So many programs that ministry is rolling out for the young people, more so than most of us would have known. I mean, I knew about the Homestead program and a couple of the others, but I didn't realize there was so many programs for young people. They've revamped some, MyLat, MyPad, CCC, all of these different things. So when we hear the narrative being pushed by the opposition that the PNM have nothing for young people, you have certain activists, PNM activists in East Dry River pushing that foolishness, the young people, the youth, well, they have nothing for the youth and the youth. Educate yourself now. Mr. Cummins was actually in that area with this individual some time ago, where they, again, promoting the Homestead program. This individual would have taken Mr. Cummins around the area. They would have identified, areas that could be used by the youth in the area to do different things. But yet still you're coming to do lives and okay, attack this one and attack that one. I don't know. Can't decide which party you're supporting. You're claiming to be PNM, but yet still always only negatives. Only negative. You seen any UNC activist behaving like that? But I ain't calling no name. But all you know, call name in the comments. I might whistle. I'm sure everybody know who I'm talking about, right? Okay. So again, thank you to Foster Cummins. He could have gone to Arima in the meeting, but he chose to come to the program and share that information. So you could, if you have any young person living in your home or that you know about who is between the ages of 18 to 35, who may be unemployed and who has a desire to become an entrepreneur, not looking for one of the 50,000 jobs that Mrs. Pasal-Bisessa wants to create. So while she creating 50,000 employees, the PNM is busy creating employers. So each of these programs has at a minimum 100 participants. And because of that cohort, because you don't want it to become too convoluted, they're rolling on more and more programs to be able to accommodate more people. And of course, as Mr. Cummins would have mentioned, these programs do in fact offer stipends as an additional incentive for the young people to come out and participate. And they are going to learn a skill that will enable them to start their own business. And there are also support facilities after, to help them to get that seed capital, as the minister mentioned, to start your business through NEDCO, where there is in the first instance the grant funding of up to $20,000 to start your business. And once you get your business off the ground, then you can graduate to the other level of funding by NEDCO to be able to expand your business. So that narrative that the PNM don't care about black people and they're nothing for black people and they don't care about the youth, I think the minister did a very good job last night in debunking that. Good morning to His Excellency Nigel O'Connor, President of Pleasantville, and First Lady Marcia King and Jennifer Dorset. Good morning. Kurt Douglas, Levin Brown. Morning. But if you didn't get an opportunity to look at the program live last night, you can always revisit it on right. You can always revisit it on the debunking page, and I think now it will be streamed on several other pages as well, because we need to get the information out there. So my guest tonight is supposed to be former Minister Marilyn Gordon, who will be joining us to share, some insight into her time as a minister and what she thinks of the politics today and on other issues. So join us tonight. I don't think the PNM has a meeting tonight. I think the next meeting is supposed to be on Saturday. So, yeah. So, it seems as if the Jack is back factor is causing a little bit of upheaval in the UNC. Yeah? So, not everybody is welcoming Mr. Warner with open arms, contrary to what the UNC, is trying to portray. Yes, Jack is back. And the PNM, nice idea for them. It's interesting that they seem to think that the Jack factor is the corner turner, if you want to call it that. That is the big thing that they needed, that they were looking for. And to me, it is an indictment on the UNC that just with Kamla Persad-Bissessar alone and her minions, cohort of, that wasn't sufficient in order to be able to generate the kind of support that you need to defeat the PNM. So you had to now form a coalition, not a coalition, an accommodation, I think is what they're calling it. Interesting. Not a coalition, but an accommodation. So we are accommodating you for the election, but we don't know what's going to happen after the election. So it's a means to an end. Let's just come together to get rid of the PNM, and then afterwards we could see what could happen after that. So I saw in parts of South, you now have members of the OWTU working with UNC candidates, trying to bolster support for them. But what is interesting in the pictures and the videos that they're putting out to show, hey, look, unity between the UNC and the Union. And they're going by people home and nobody coming out, nobody entertaining them. I don't know if it's probably they're going in the wrong area, trying to focus on PNM areas to spread their propaganda and the old talk and the lies, but it's not seeming to get the effect that they're looking for. So you join up at Gary, and yeah, there was a little buzz there, but still not enough. So you come and you call back Jack, and that seemed to stir up a little bit. So on Monday night, they had their meeting, and there was some excitement there, but so in order to get a crowd, you needed to you had to get Jack to come back on board. And the general consensus of course, is that, Mr. Warner is a spent force. He's now 80 years old. This is not Jack Warner of 2010, when he was a 60-something-year-old, right? And it shows. Mr. Warner, on Monday night, you saw it. His age is taking a toll on him. But yet still, he seems to feel the need to come back into the political fray. As I said, Mr. Warner's political career is like the Indian Expo. Final extension, and when the extension date reach, they put up a banner, final extension, and they extend it again. Yeah? So, and they keep going like that. And Mr. Warner needs to know when it's time to hang up your guns, your political guns. Your political currency, your political stock has waned. Your political currency is devalued significantly. Hence the reason Mr. Warner can only walk in certain places with some of the candidates. So I saw that he went on a walk with Gary Griffith in Lupino Bonner, the constituency that he contested in 2020 and lost to Marvin Gonzalez. But you would not see, and I'm sure you would not see Mr. Warner walking with Gary Griffith in certain parts of Diego Martin, for instance, because Gary Griffith knows full well that the folks down there will not tolerate that. And there is reason why Gary decided to form a new political party rather than simply go back into the UNC. He is trying to capture that constituency of voters who would have gravitated to the COP, who were neither PNM, neither UNC, and were looking for something new. As Winston Buchanan called it, new politics, right? And people gravitated to that party because there were certain persons in there who persons felt had integrity. Their names never get called up in no nastiness. When they speak, you don't hear the kind of thing that we heard on Monday night from Mr. Warner and others, from people the likes of Anil Roberts, that you would denigrate certain office holders, former president, making the implication that she's a lesbian. You're calling Marvin Gonzalez, Minister of Man, talking about Prime Minister, and he carrying woman in his house, and he had to go down the corridor, past 3 dogs and a parrot, and then go down some step in some dungeon with some red couch and all of this. This is what politics, unfortunately, has come to, at least on that side. No discussion, no talk about local government issues, so that, again, the candidates, the UNC candidates, are like they're in headlines. When they come to your home, they're asking you for your vote, but they cannot speak about local government issues. So they need to have a proxy with them. Somebody was telling me in La Joqueta, Julie John was working with some of the candidates, and the person would have tried to engage the candidate, asking them questions related to local government. And of course, the candidate could not answer. And Julie John had to intervene and talking a whole pack of nonsense. And the person had to say, are you the candidate? I want to hear from the candidate. This is the person who, if they win, is going to be representing me, not you. You looking for the macro level. You want to be the MP, right? Talking to the candidate, because when I have local government issues, this is the person that I'm going to have to come to if they win. And this person has no idea what local government is about, never had any experience, doesn't see it fit to educate themselves or to inform themselves about what local government is, what you can and cannot do, what you could expect after August 14 in terms of local government reform and the change in how the system works. They don't have a clue about any of these things. All they thinking, right, well, when I win, I'm going to see how much money I'm going to get. Right, and it's 4 years, good. So I have a work at least for the next 4 years. What that work entails, they have no clue. So you go in now to visit your counselor because you have an issue, and they have no idea how to treat with it. So they think it's just to sit down in an office and take notes, and then go to the corporation and say, well, how I just do this? How I could do that? No talk at all about local government issues. You will hear that on the PNM platform, not the UNC platform, because they only focusing on kill them dead is a general election. And the way they talking, put us in power and we will do this stand your ground legislation. Some of their supporters actually think that if they win on August 14th, that Kamala will be able to implement these things. No. I have been seeing some of them coming on the debunking page and reading some of their comments. I mean, it is mind-blowing, mind-numbing. Kamala Persad-Bissessar and UNC have successfully been able to create a party of idiots. And these people want to argue to the hilt. Some of them coming on and want to seem bright. And don't know, be from Wolford. Let me see here. So I'm seeing here, Jack hits road in blue. So I'm confused. So he hits the road in blue, but then on Monday night he said he's wearing this yellow shirt without the UNC logo because he has to earn the right to wear that logo again. It's amazing that Mr. Warner would allow himself to be used in that manner. That you are basically kowtowing to Kamala Persad-Bissessar, somebody that you worked hard, very hard, and spent a lot of money to get rid of in 2015. And I could speak from an empirical standpoint. Mr. Warner spent a lot of money to get rid of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. That Sunshine Hour program on 91.9. I used to see sometimes when I could go in the morning or in the evening when I go to the program, they would give me the invoice to give to Mr. Warner And in something for a week, 2 weeks, $20,000, $30,000. Yeah. 91.9 made a lot of money off of Jack Warner for that Sunshine Hour program, for that year and a half that we were on. And the program was released, well, what it eventually morphed into was not the original intention, right? Mr. Warner had started off that program to promote the ILP, and then he saw it as a vehicle to get information out about the wrongdoings of the UNC. And it then became a central platform to get rid of Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. And that program was very, very successful. It was only after the election that we realized the impact that it would have had. And Mr. Warner, we used to get all of our information from Mr. Warner. So every evening before the program started, 3 o'clock, 2:30, we would go to the CONCACAF building on Edward Street, where the credit union is now. And this is what we're talking about today. Look the box there, look all the documents, go through it, see what it is that you all need to pull out. If it is Mr. Warner, highlight, talk about this, talk about that, right? And that is how it went. We had strategy meetings on what we are going to talk about this week, what we're going to focus on, what is the angle that we are going to take to get rid of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. In fact, Mr. Warner would have told us on numerous occasions, under no circumstance will I ever go back to the UNC. Several times he would have said that when we had ILP executive meetings. The strategy was, how do we get rid of the UNC? They're no good. Today, he is back in the fold. Today, he has seen the error of his ways, right? But there are a lot of people in the UNC who are not willing to welcome Mr. Warner with open arms. And I'm not just talking about within the executive, because there's a lot of upheaval, because WhatsApp messages and so on, and emails and whatnot, transcripts of which are being shared all over. In fact, on Monday night, after Mr. Warner spoke and the end of the meeting, there were several members of the UNC executive who called the Minister of Public Utilities, Marvin Gonzalez, to apologize for what Mr. Warner would have said. Yeah? And some of these persons are now in the doghouse. They know what is this. The word on the ground is that Mr. Warner wants to once again contest the Chaguanas West seat, right? And that is supposedly one of the promises that has been made to him by Mrs. Persad-Bissessar in exchange for his assistance, not just for this local election, but for the general election going forward. So don't be surprised if you see the reincarnation of a Sunshine Hour on 91.9. I will not be there, for certain. I don't know if maybe he might be able to convince. Well, I know Dean and I want no part of that. We are no longer part of that. I understand that Mr. Warner would have been, well, not indicated, but he would have indicated to certain persons that those members of the ILP who would have remained loyal to him and who have stood by him through the years from 2015 come forward, those who were part of his 2020 general election campaign and so on, that the arrangement that has been made with the UNC is that such persons will be taken care of. That's the term. Such persons will be taken care of once they get into office in 2025. So plans are already afoot. They already put in things in place, who will serve on which board and who will get what position as ambassadors and all of these different things, who will serve as senators. So they already sit down and strategize in all of these things. Right? And general election is 2 years away, but they're already putting together whatever coalition or whatever they feel they need to. Yeah, information is coming to me, and I can tell you there are persons who are members of the ILP, senior members of the ILP, who are not pleased with what Mr. Warner's utterances on Monday night. This talk about he's going to disband the ILP. I saw a letter was sent out a couple of days ago by the General Secretary of the ILP speaking to that issue and so on, and that the ILP will be disbanded and would be incorporated or integrated into the UNC. But to my surprise, I saw the letter was signed by one Indra Maraj. As far as I know and I recall, Indra Maraj was the former General Secretary of the ILP, And Indra Maharaj would have resigned from the ILP sometime on or about 2016 or thereafter to go into ministry, because as far as I know, she is now a pastor, and she would have moved away from the political arena. She was not a favorite in the ILP, in fact. So to imagine my surprise to see her signing off on something for which she has not been a member of the ILP for quite some time. Certainly not a member of the executive. As I would have told you, the ILP is a party of one. Because after Rekha Ramjit would have resigned as political leader, following, she was Mr. Warner's campaign manager in 2020, and when he lost, she would have resigned as the political leader of the ILP. I would have been the last chairman of the ILP. And then when I left, there was never any reconstitution of an executive. So this farce that they're trying to perpetrate on the people, right? To tell you about the ILP and whatnot, it doesn't exist. And it just speaks to the deception. So let us give the impression, hey, the ILP, come on, really? Everybody went back to their old homes a long time. But again, you see, they're trying to fool people. And that's it. Fool the people, fool the people, fool the people. And there are people who are buying it. Yeah, Jack wanna come back and Jack wanna come back and what? Jack wanna come back and what? There are many people who seem to think, yeah, Jack wanna pocket deep. So let me tell you something. That case, that extradition matter, and Mr. Warner's attempts to stave off extradition has taken a significant impact on his finances. I wouldn't go into the details to tell you how I know that, but suffice it to say, all who like to say Jack Warner is a billionaire, Jack Warner this and Jack Warner that, let me tell you, Mr. Warner's finances has been significantly dented as a result of that extradition. Those lawyers are bleeding him dry. Yes, bleeding him dry. So when you see things happening in the UNC and they're going to use Mr. Warner as a front, so people will say, well, yeah, when they're seeing this happening and radio programs taking place and all this, and think is Warner funding that. No, it is not Mr. Warner who will be funding these things. They have their business financiers who own certain groceries and hardwares and stuff, who are giving them money to fund these things, but the impression will be given that it's Jack Warner paying for it. Right? So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by them at all. There are a lot of business owners who prefer to remain behind the scenes because they don't want people to know that they are involved in such a deep and heavy way with the UNC, lest it should impact their businesses. Yeah? So, but the information is out there. But I see the Potong in chief, Marsha Walker, is one such person who is not taking Mr. Warner's return lightly. In fact, she's not a supporter of it. So in this article here, I'm seeing where in a telephone interview yesterday with Jack Warner, the former government minister said he expects the attacks to come heavily from the PNM against him and opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Visesa. He says, if I were corrupt, I would have been a member of the PNM, a very high member. The fact that I am not in the PNM speaks for itself. Warner said attacks against him and Prasad-Visesa will not improve people's lives, and he urged citizens to open their eyes and not fall for PNM propaganda. He said he will be walking the length and breadth of Trinidad to urge people to vote out the PNM at the August 14 polls. Okay. Yeah. So let me get to Marsha Walker. Marsha has should I play that way? Oh, no. Before I get to Marsha, it seems Ravi Balgobin Maharaj also that the the UNC lackey, the courthouse lackey, whenever it is that they want to bring lawsuit against the state, they use him. So apparently he sent out some email or some piece of correspondence that reads, this all being said, Jack Warner has an important role to play in the campaign to remove the PNM from government within the next 2 years, and his wealth of knowledge and experience will surely be crucial to those efforts. But for anyone to overlook the hard work that has already been poured into the current local government campaign by persons such as Dave Tanku, Khadija Amin, Ravi Ratiram, Saddam Hussein, Arnold Ram, David Lee, Jolene John, Peter Kanai, Feroz Khan, and Kamala Prasad-Visesa, who have all steered the UNC ship towards victory after victory in the past 8 years. What victory, Ravi? What victory? Victory after victory in the last 8 years? Are you dumb? Anyway, right. Only to congratulate Jack Warner for coming on board at the last minute is only attempting to stir up more chaos within a party marching towards government. You see that word more? Or is only attempting to stir up more chaos. He didn't say it's attempting to stir up chaos. More chaos means there's currently chaos in the party. There is currently chaos in the party because there are people in the UNC at senior levels who are hoping that the party will not do well on August 14th. And that once that happens, it is going to be an indictment on Kamala Persad-Bissessa's leadership, because they know once that happens, the PNM and others will say, she continues to be a serial loser. Kamala Persad-Bissessa needs a victory of sorts in this election as a lifeline for her political career. If it is that the party does not do well, in spite of forming coalitions or accommodations with the NTA and Jack Warner and whoever else might decide to jump on the bandwagon before August 14th, she's going to have a tough time of it. I understand that they have the internal election sometime in September, and there may be a challenge. There may be a challenge to her leadership. And there are persons, so there are different factions right now in the UNC considering contesting leadership. So Ravi Ratiram has hopes, but he may not challenge her, if only because every time Kamala Persad-Bissessa mounts a platform now, she keeps talking about handing over the UNC to the children of the UNC. The children of the UNC. And there are certain persons who she considers to be children of the UNC, the likes of Ravi Ratiram, Anal Ram, Khadija Amin, Saddam Hussein. All of these people have question marks over their heads. Anal Ram, of course, we know, was fired from not one but two public utility companies for misbehavior and gross misconduct, right? From two public utility companies. Yet he sits in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago today, representing, Caroni Central? And it is not far-fetched to believe that if you all should put God out of your thoughts and not vote, or if the citizens of this country should put God out of their thoughts and put these people back in 2025, that a man who was fired from not one but two public utility companies in Trinidad might end up being the Minister of Public Utilities, the man in charge, the line minister. So that nobody could fire him except the Prime Minister. And not wanting, even if he engages in wrongdoing at that level, not wanting to embarrass her government, if at all it is possible to cover up any wrongdoings on the part of her ministers, she has shown that she is more than willing so to do. So I will give you the opportunity to clean up your mess, right? Just don't let it get out, because we know why we are here and what we came into office for. It is for the benefit of our financiers who would have stayed loyal to us, and those who, notwithstanding our political misfortunes, would have still been assisting us for their own benefit, right? You have a man who is accused, or it is alleged, is engaged in human trafficking, prostitution, who is alleged to have engaged in wrongdoing while he was at PTSC, TSTT. I would have read for you all some time ago. I was trying to find it this morning, but so many things I have said. But Ramona Ramdial, his predecessor, the former Member of Parliament for Couva North, would have indicated in a Facebook exchange between a gentleman by the name, herself and a gentleman by the name of Ronald Bola, indicated that she could not support Ravi Ratiram. She could not support his campaign in 2020, not because he replaced her, but because of to use her own term, the overwhelming evidence of him being involved in human trafficking and prostitution and wrongdoing while he was at PTSC. She said that. In her response to Mr. Bola, who asked the question, why aren't you supporting Ravi? Ramona Ramdial, she used the word evidence. Evidence. She didn't say based on allegations, She said based on evidence. So I would have read for you a couple days ago where in the situation with Glenn Ramadan Singh, where he was accused by Miss Patricia Singh of coercing her or forcing her to engage in certain sex acts in order to get a food card and an HTC house for herself and her deaf mute uncle. And she would have indicated she would have spoken to senior officials at the office of the Prime Minister. And Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was aware of the allegations and did nothing about it. It was only when Miss Singh went to the Express and told her story, and it came to Mrs. Prasad Bisesa's attention that the lady, Miss Singh, had gone to the Express. Then Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, who at the time was considering demoting Mr. Ramadan Singh for something else, decided to fire him given the fact that this matter was now about to come out in the public domain. Is that the type of person that you want to be sitting in the Prime Minister's office, in the Prime Minister's chair for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days? Because make no mistake, put her back there and she definitely intends to stay for the full term, as much as the Constitution would allow her. The last day, to squeeze the last juice. And they did that specifically last time to ensure that they were able to get as much out of it in terms of contracts. So we saw where land leases in Shagaramas were given out 2 weeks before the election. In the 6 months leading up to the election, over 44 land leases were given out in Shagaramas. Prime real estate given out to friends, family, and financiers of the UNC, notwithstanding the fact that the citizens of this country came out in their hundreds and their thousands to march, to protest against lands, prime real estate being given to certain people in Shagaramas. They didn't care. And the 2020, which is supposed to be the 2025 manifesto, speaks to a continuation of that exercise should they come back into office in 2025. So in other words, they're telling all you, hold a middle finger. All of you all who marched to protest against that, to hell with all you. The only benefit you all would have gotten from that march was some exercise. And you all probably lose a pound or two walking from Shagaramas to the waterfront. But put us back into office, and we will ensure that we continue that exercise. And all you could gripe, and we will start it very early in the 5-year term to make sure that these leases are cemented so that the people to whom it is given could build what they have to build, or at least it would be in an advanced stage of construction. So if, God forbid, we lose in 2030, well, it would be very difficult for whichever party, more than likely the PNM, to come back and do what they did in 2015, to take these people to court in an attempt to take back the land. So the 100 acres of land that they gave to one individual, one member of the 1% that they so hate today, but between 2010 to 2015, there was no hate. It was only love. Yeah? Only love between the UNC, the People's Partnership, and the 1%. Today, they're feeling hate, right? But how do you demonstrate that love, that hate? Well, you give one man 100 acres to plant onion. Yeah? And then there's a new type of onion restaurant pop up. You pave a portion of the arable land, create a car park. So you have persons now renting a portion of that car park to store heavy equipment. You have a restaurant. You have carnival, fetes, and so on taking place down on that side. But it was this Keith Rowley administration that took back 50 acres. And as we would have heard from Foster Cummings last night, some 26 of those acres would be used for some of the agricultural programs that the government is now rolling out for persons, young persons, the youth who are desirous of becoming business owners, entrepreneurs, between 18 to 35. So that while Kamala decided to give one man 100 acres, Keith Rowley and the PNM is saying we will take 26 of the 50 that we take back, and we will give it out to a number of young people have 1 acre each, so that they could be able to engage in agriculture. So one, it would treat with the issue of food security in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't need to import as much. And with the number of young persons that they're trying to bring on board with these various agricultural programs, we can now start exporting food. So we will now have young people between the ages of 18 to 35 who would be engaged in agricultural pursuits, not just to sell their produce in Trinidad, but they can engage in agro-processing as well and look to send their produce outside of Trinidad, where it is needed. So they're making foreign exchange. They're earning foreign exchange. for the country, for themselves as well. So if they want to open the US account, and they could do that because they'll be paid in US dollars, and right, they could now hire people and train other young people in the business of agriculture so that they too could earn a living for themselves and not have to work on 8 to 4. So that while Kamala talking about creating 50,000 jobs, Keith Rowley and the PNM are talking about creating 50,000 or more entrepreneurs, and not just in agriculture. Based on what would have been discussed last night, through the CCC, through the youth camps, and all of these different things, and several other programs that are to come on board, persons would be trained in a variety of different pursuits so that they can become self-employed. Yeah? UNC are talking that. You know what they're talking? Stand your ground. Come and get gun license. And not putting anything in place to help these at-risk youth, these urban youth. So, whereas the PNM is saying, look, well, you come, we have things for you. Parents, instead of your son, when he gets up in the morning, the first thing he doing is to go across by the weed man and buy a joint. Tell him come and engage in something that is going to help him, right? He gets in a stipend, he learning a trade, and when he's finished, he's going to get access to grant funding to start his business, and so that he can be a productive member of society, rather than you just sit down waiting to hear he get shoot, or you just sit down waiting to hear he in handcuffs and the police gone with him. That is what the UNC is offering, right? That is what they offer, because they know that once you keep these young people in a state of hopelessness, dependency, that you could rely on them for their vote. We could go and tell them, well, the PNM this and the PNM that, and you could probably get them a little short-term thing, color me orange, $69 a day, and they will be grateful to you for that. So that is what they want to do. Bring them up in Hilton, hands up, hands out, like little children. The PNM saying, no, we're not about that. We're giving you a house, we're giving you land, we're giving you training, and we're giving you money so that you could become a productive member of society. So this is what we're offering you, as opposed to what the pusher, the drug lord, the gang leader is offering you. We're offering you a good life, as opposed to, because all the UNC sees you as is target practice. Yeah? So stand your ground. So because your pants below your waist and you're wearing a white beater and a slipper and you're passing in front of somebody's house, they could say they felt threatened because they see you stand up in front of you. Probably just on your phone, but they find you stand up in front of the gap too long. You're there for 2 minutes and they find you should have been there for only 30 seconds. So 2 minutes mean that you were plotting to come on the property, and they put 2 cap in your backside and you end up a statistic. That is what they offering. Yeah? Nothing else. But they want to come and tell you, when the PNM offers these opportunities, is voter padding. Yeah, they want to give land for all them miscreants and cockroaches from Beetham and Lavantil and Mova. They want to bring them in UNC areas to say they're giving them land for them to come and, yeah, they come in to say they're planting crops, but we know it's really weed. Yeah, it's weed they come in to plant. Because that's how they see. That is how they see us. That is how they see the so-called children of the PNM. No good. Right? All you're going to do, and you see it in the comments from the supporters, that all the young people in the PNM, all they do is rob and thief and kill. You know what them I have to be battling with that stupidness when it says they come on the debunking page with this dotish mindset. So it's only the children of the UNC that are doing well. Or as they say, as I encountered one the other day, children of the rising sun doing well. But the children of the PNM, the children of the Balizé, and who drinking Balizé juice, they ain't no good. Yeah? All they got to do is to look for handouts. And the parents just making a set of them to serve as miscreants and pests. That is the mindset of the UNC supporter. And it is evidenced on our page, in the comments. Right? And so we have a responsibility. And the PNM has taken up the challenge to say, look, we will provide the opportunities. But they could only go so far. So as the minister would have said last night, you could lead a horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink. Under Mr. Manning, they would have established the Lavantil Technical Institute, the whole Rambond. How many of the young people have taken up that opportunity? So the opportunities are there. As and thankfully, as the minister indicated last night, a lot of these programs that they have rolled out so far are oversubscribed, which is good. So it means that the young people are responding in a positive manner. And many of them are going through the full gamut of the program to the point of graduation. So they're getting their certificates and they are excited about the opportunities to become employers, the opportunities to become entrepreneurs. So they don't have to come out of school. And even if you come out of school with your full certificate, as the case may be, you are not excluded from these programs. In fact, you are encouraged to come on board. And more programs are going to be rolled out to accommodate you. It's only a matter of time before you hear somebody in the UNC, Ravi Bhagavan Maharaj, or some other one of them will run to the courthouse or the Equal Opportunities Commission because they find too many Africans in the program, not enough East Indians in the program, or too many of the programs focused in the North and the East-West corridor, not enough in South and Central. But all they don't want the Levantil youth to come in Central because as far as you are concerned, they are just pests, miscreants, criminals. No good could come from them. Once they come from a PNM household, they know damn good. Right? So what they're complaining for is only a matter of time. They will file a Freedom of Information request and they want to know, are these 10 programs, how many East Indians it have and how many Africans it have. And once they realize that it is heavily weighted towards the Africans, you're going to hear them. But then we could ask the questions, how many applications would have come from persons of East Indian descent? How many? And more often than not, you would find the court was, well, you see, but look, they only favoring the persons of African descent. Yet the same people who are inclined to do this are the same ones who will come and tell you about the African community and they do nothing productive and it's only the East Indian communities do this and that and it's the African community, there's everything negative. But any opportunity that is presented to the African community for upliftment, well, you have a problem with it. You know why? Because well, they like that narrative to say that the Africans and the African youth are no good. And so we cannot allow the PNM to lift them up. Because once the PNM does that, you know, well, hey, the PNM will earn their loyalty. Because they will see this is the party that provided me and my family with this opportunity. And so therefore the UNC can't come after with no chop-it talk. Because as Kamala said, if it is, I think I have it here, if all the East Indians were to vote for the UNC, ain't no way the PNM could get more than 50% of the vote. If all the East Indians were to vote for the UNC. But Rowley liked to race bait. And Rowley always blowing the racial dog whistle. I never hear Keith Rowley say if all the Africans vote for the PNM, no way the UNC could get more than 50% of the vote. But you think this council, this ridiculous council for whatever it is they call it, you think they're focusing on that? No. The UNC big and bold, let me find it here. Deviating, and I had to deal with so many things in a short time that because as I said, I have an early morning. But let me get this here, right? Get this. So Mrs. Pasabi says I was only too happy to post up on her Facebook page. Okay. Where is it? What a joke he is about writing on the wall for the PNM. Right. Council for just now. There's so much nonsense she posting up on her Facebook page. This thing with Vishnu Raghunath put out some post stating that the government and the PNM and Dr. Rowley have been found to have breached the code by the code of ethics by a further 3 or some stupidness. So they not identify, but they didn't hear what Mr. Warner said the other night, referring to Marvin Gonzalez as who, right? And Stuart Young as small pin and this pin and that pin. They didn't hear that. They missed that. But it seems Raghunath airs, he don't watch UNC Monday Night Forum. Or if he does, when they say nasty things about PNM, apparently his ears get cookie eye, yeah, or cataract and glaucoma. He don't hear that. And talking about they got complaints from the complaints my eye. All you fooling nobody. You're not fooling business, whatever the hell your name is. You're not fooling anybody about you got complaints. You're complaining to yourself. You sit down and watch a meeting and looking thing and taking notes, and then want to put out posts and claiming, oh, you got complaints on this one. Oh, look, miss me with that BS. Eh? You see that whole code of whatever? Disband that. That is a waste of time. Makes no sense. Because when you have people, certain things being said on UNC platforms and no complaints, nobody ain't complaining to you about that. But they only complaining about the PNM. That tells you something, right? And the stupidness that you want to come and look, we don't even bother with that club. Not today. I want to get back to Marsha Walker. Because Marsha seems like she's having a meltdown. But that's part of the course. She always having a meltdown. That's right. Right. And boy, oh boy, Marsha getting licks for soup. Blows in she old clothes, blows in she new clothes from them UNC supporters and them. Because they find she shouldn't be talking about these things in the public. Do like the PNM, wash your dirty linen in private. So many things Marsha has posted, the Potong-in-Chief. Blind loyalty on any side is dangerous for the country. So one of the Susan Jurawan says, so all this bitterness is because Jack on stage? Yet Jack has his own following. Love him or hate him. When he was there, he performed and no one can deny that. I thought UNC people was about everyone come home. Now that is happening, it's another story. Then you all wonder why PNM wins. Manning used to say in my father's house there are many mansions. Every election he said that. Seems UNC supporters have no clue how to win. And after the results, Kamala, poor woman, she gets cussed. Well, you grow some balls. You against the PNM, a well-oiled political machine. You need every game plan in the book to remove them. Every game plan. Even if it means to lie. Every word that come out of him, lie to him. Don't matter. You know what? Because it seems that the brain of the average UNC supporter has been conditioned to filter out truth and only accept lies. And then they come on social media to talk these lies. And when it is that you bash them, well, not even bash, when you show them up as being morons, they vex. They want to curse you, your mother, so and so, and all kind of chop it up. That's the default now. The default. Yeah, that's what the default to. She goes on to say, politics was never a gentleman's game. Neither is it clean. It takes everything you got to fight. It takes everything you got to fight. This is a UNC supporter talking this. Eh? Yes, you have to cross roads with many types, but then again, you are relying on many types so they support in order to win. This picking and choosing of who you like or who you prefer is nonsense because the PNM will take any one of them anyways. UNC people only like to talk win, but when the bell rings, they have no stomach to do what it takes to win. In the end, without power, you can achieve nothing but talk for the next 5 years and who suffers? The people. So suck it up and do what you damn well know is needed to remove the PNM. Which is what? Which is what, Susan Jurawan? What? Lie? Propaganda? Mislead? Right. Marsha responds, I will not reply publicly, but I have read and I won't ignore a faithful soul like yourself. You are free to message privately. Come now, man, Marsha, find the woman on public, let me see now. Goes on to say, yes. You see here. Yes, no, let me get it here. Right. Another one says, well. It's interesting to see how some folks who are aggressively championing your passionate defense of the UNC are now attacking you with the same viciousness. As I said when I was attacked by your supporters, just like the PNM, the UNC has major flaws to address and needs to upgrade to a more progressive style of politics. Another one says, if you wanted loyalty, you should have gotten a dog. This is politics and it has a morality of its own. It is not the career for all. This is UNC supporters. But there's no surprise there. This is what we expect. This is what we expect from them, right? But then they want to come and talk about the PNM is the most corrupt party ever, but fail to acknowledge what their party has done and the leadership of their party has done over the last, 10 years. Even in opposition, they can't help it but be corrupt. I'm going again. Marsha says, fighting evil with evil could never be the answer. She goes on to say, as citizens, do we want to get rid of corruption regardless of personal cost? Or is it that we don't mind corruption once it trickles down to us? You could not have described the UNC any better, Marsha. Now, in response to Mr. Warner joining the UNC camp and coming back in the forefront, this was what Marsha has to say. I think we should invite community leaders to unite with us as well. Come on board, everybody. Let's unite with everybody. We have but one common enemy, so any and everybody else is welcome on board. Well, she get good blows for that. So somebody says, community leaders, aka gangsters, Marsha, I never thought you were that stupid. I had my suspicions. Hope you are banned from politics. Show me where I'm wrong. I have an open mind. Show me for your own sake. Karina Bechan, prominent UNC, she says, this is her response to Marsha. Who the F you think you are? Like the UNC have a new leader? I missed that memo. Once a PNM, eh? Right. Another one says the UNC has accommodated her for a long time, so she should not have issues with any accommodations. Anand Jagdeo says, Karina Bechan, Marsha is out as she effing mind. Another one says, yes, no, eh? A poor attempt at sarcasm. When you campaign, I hope you are profiling similarly and not asking any devil or criminal or any other people you're unhappy with about their support. Jack Warner's contribution to the UNC and performance as an MP and minister is something all rookies should try to emulate. Don't tote, vote. And the trend of comments going like that. So she getting plenty licks for basically, and I noticed she wasn't there on Monday night because she's diametrically opposed to Mr. Warner coming back, because she also talks about just now. Why are persons not allowed to make a stance on something they feel strongly about? This is Marsha. Is this not a democracy? Do we really want persons inside the parliament who will toe the party line no matter what? I thought we wanted representatives who didn't behave like the PNM cult. Then in another post, she talks about how Mrs. Prasad Bisesa would have told Jack Warner to clear your name and come back home. And she's asking, has he cleared his name? She has no issues with Mr. Warner, but he has not cleared his name, and therefore she's opposed. You know why? Because in the district that Marsha is seeking to represent, which is, let's see, where is that? What district is this? I think it's some Goodwood. It's one of the big shot areas in Diego Martin. I'm not seeing exactly which seat she represented. But anyway, those folks down there don't want to hear nothing about Jack Warner. And if they believe and perceive that Marsha Walker is supporting Mr. Warner's return to the party, she will not get their vote. No, she's concerned about that. Because when she's going on her walks, they're telling her that. These are the people that Gary Griffith trying to court, to woo. The people who don't want the PNM and who don't want the UNC, who are looking for something new. These are the people who would have supported the COP because of the narrative of new politics and persons of integrity who would have been at the front line. Integrity, the likes of Hamel Smith and Vernon DeLima, and at that time, back in 2007, when Anand Ramlogan was still a respectable attorney before his true colors came out, right? People like Winston Dukaran, Carolyn Sipasad Beechan, and all of these persons who were untainted with the smear of corruption. And that is why they were able to get 147,000 votes. That is the cohort of persons that Gary Griffith is trying to court, telling UNC people, seek out persons who supported the COP and get them to support the NTA. But you're not going to get that support, right? And now Jack has taken away the shine from Gary. So whereas before there's GG, yeah, happy NTA UNC, and Gary strutting himself like a peacock. Now that Jack has come on the scene, well, everybody forget about Gary, and Jack is the flavor of the week. Yeah, he's the flavor of the week, but the week almost done. So next week, well, I know what they're going to do, but let me tell you, the novelty of Jack is back is going to wear out very, very quickly. Because Mr. Warner, as the political leader of the ILP, only success the party had was in 2013 in the local government election. And after that, the party's political fortunes continued to plummet. He had a lot more money then than he does today. I can tell you that, right? And so the challenge is now, he couldn't win the seat. He couldn't win Lopino Bonnet West in 2020. And if the people of Lopino Bonnet West didn't want to hear him and didn't have confidence that they didn't want him as their representative, I don't see. The only impact Mr. Warner could really have is to energize the UNC faithful who have given up on Kamala Prasad Bisesa, who have written her off as a waste of time, and who are of the view that that party could go no further under her, and don't see the point, and who would not have come out to vote. But those who believe to say, maybe Jack coming back, okay, maybe there's hope. Maybe we could see a repeat of 2010. And perhaps now that might reinvigorate some of them. But even so, again, reading the comments from some of these UNC supporters, they're not too pleased with the return of Jack. Because they are thinking long term, and they know that in order for them to win the general election of 2025, they cannot only depend on UNC seats. They need to win PNM seats, seats that are currently held by the PNM. And they know that persons, in order for them to win those seats, Jack Warner cannot be a part of the equation. He cannot be. And these people are concerned. Hence the reason some of their financiers are holding back their money because they say, you see that? You have admitted that the party, without Jack and without Gary, is weak. Can't win an election. So you have to bring in these guys now in the hope that you can stir up something. But people who are not interested in the UNC and who might have gravitated towards the NTA, which is why Gary Griffith formed that party, they will see the NTA as simply a UNC proxy and will not vote for the UNC. And it is important that we continue to remind people of why they voted out the People's Partnership in 2015. So all this stupid talk about gerrymandering the election and the EBC and the chief elections officer is Maxi Coffee Nice and the PNM rigged the vote and the 1 hour extension and all this nonsense. It had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that, because the writing had been on the wall for them since 2013 when they lost in the local government election, when they went from 11 seats down to 5. It started there, and it had nothing to do, and I think at that time the chief elections officer was Howard Cayenne. So why did you all lose so many seats in the local election in 2013? And then for the by-election in Chaguanas West, you lost that. The by-election in St. Joseph, you lost that, right? Who to blame? That was for Narcissus Scope. She wasn't there. She wasn't there. So what caused that? There was no 1 hour extension in the local election of 2013. There was no 1 hour extension for the by-election in Chaguanas West when Jack Warner handed them the backside on a platter. There was no 1 hour extension in the by-election for St. Joseph, where despite all of the nonsense that they tried to do with Ian Allen as the candidate, and they come and play, they're doing a whole set of work in St. Joseph, the Mamagai people, that they still lost on Terrence Dale saying hand them the backside on a platter, just as Jack Warner had did in Chaguanas West. So what caused that? The same EBC, but it had no Ferdinand scope there. You all were in charge. So how come all they lost all them election? The THA election, all they put millions of dollars in Tobago. Whitewash. The PNM put half, not even 1/4 of the resources. Handed all your backside again. 2013 was, what is this term they use? Annus horribilis for the UNC. Mess up. From January, come right down. Loss after loss after loss. And then she went to what track record. What accounted for those losses? But you see, they're gearing up. And bet your bottom dollar. You see the loss on August 14th. Watch Facebook. Watch the other social media platforms. They come in. It have what they wouldn't call PNM supporters. Latrine fly, monkey, you name it. We saw it in 2020. You're going to hear about how we vote race, and that it's because of race, and it has nothing to do with race. We couldn't care less if the leader of the PNM is a Chinese, an East Indian, or whatever. It don't matter. It has nothing to do with race. But you see, that is all they could come with to talk that stupid talk about race. That is the only thing. So PNM people is only vote based on race, nothing else. And yeah, acknowledge the fact that what your party offers makes no sense. The things that you all are, that they are willing to accept and forgive. If it was the PNM, we would have been hearing that from now till never really. But all the things, the $88 million ITA food fence in Arukale by the prison, $88 million. Up to now, we don't know what purpose that fence is supposed to serve. No purpose whatsoever. But $88 million gone just so. If it was the PNM did that, we would have been hearing about it constantly. But it's them, they're willing to forgive that. You spend $175 million to buy a piece of land valued at $52 million. So you spend $123 million more than you needed to. There are no problem with that. We can forgive that. You buy a whole warehouse for $238 million that was valued at 17, you have no problem with that. Because here now, one of their favorite companies that was bankrupt when they came in 2010, and at the end of 2015, one of the biggest paving contractors, Calco, are saying here now where they're being accused of shoddy work in Guyana. Yeah, the Guyanese are not pleased. So the same shoddy work that they're giving us here in Trinidad with respect to road paving, they go on Guyana to do that, but the Guyanese will not have it. So it seems, right? And then we wonder why it is that the roads are in the state that they are in. But blame the government. Don't blame the contractor. It's government fault. Road paving all over now. I've seen some pictures here when I watch it. I said, nah, that can't be Trinidad. That cannot be Trinidad. I have never seen roads looking like that, looking that good in TNT. That's probably a Photoshop, or they take that photo from some other country and claim it as Trinidad. That is to tell you the quality of work that we see here now. The quality that we see here. But you think they will post up that and praise the government? Wait, you're mad? Not in this election season. I engaged one of them yesterday. My God, have mercy. As I had to tell him, there's a saying, never argue with a fool because he will beat you with experience. And just, that was one of the most experienced fools I have ever come across. This man come on the page to ask us to, asking if anybody could state what the PNM, this administration, has done for the last 8 years. But pretending to be genuine, he say he asked the elders, the PNM elders, and they don't seem to be able to answer the question and so on. And he genuinely wants to know. Well, I give him a whole list, starting with how the government would have increased personal allowance 3 times, 2016 to 2021. And among other things, I mentioned the 3 ferries, the number of houses that the HTC has built, the number of community centers that have been built, some 15 community centers, based on what we would have been told the other night by Marvin Gonzalez, where they would have built 15 new booster stations and refurbished another 20 booster stations, improving the supply of water, at least on a 24/3 basis, so 3 days a week, from 32%, I think, right up to 55%. Number of other things I mentioned, the swimming pool in Mova, in Laventille, in Malabar, in Maloney, you know, the community pools and all of these different things. They would have built the Arima Hospital, Point 14 Hospital, Roxborough Hospital, Samuel Grande is under construction, the Central Block in Port of Spain is well advanced, the Carenage Police Station, which for years had been a Carenage police post in a house on, I think, School Street in Carenage. Today they have their own police station, where I think the Marine unit of the police is based. The Diego Martin Regional Complex, which is now landlord to First Citizens Bank. So they're making money. The Diego Martin Sporting Complex, which looks like an international event entity. The Diego Martin Health Center, which looks like a hospital in and of itself on Wendy Fitzwilliam Boulevard, right? The Diego Martin Interchange, the QREP Interchange, the 3 new licensing offices, the commissioning and outfitting of government campus, which is saving the state well over $130 million a year in rent that was previously going into the pockets of the 1%. All of these different things. This clown, wanting to seem bright, coming to tell me that I spreading lies, that the PNM only increased the personal allowance by 6,000 from 84,000 to 90, and that the effects of that is negligible because of the 4% that they give in public servants and inflation and unemployment and stuff. I say, but you for real? You for real and want to sound bright, you know? This clown, let me see if I get his name here. You know, I like to put him up. I think his name is Mark Okira. What an idiot. Can't find it here. Let me see. Yeah. He trying to debunk all of the things that I said. Here, listen to this, right? Here. You have a lot of lies sprinkled in between, so let me start. He's responding to me. Increase in personal allowance. You are incorrect. Rowley came into power on the 9th of September 2015. Rowley was sworn in as Prime Minister of TNT by President Anthony Carmona. They did not start that incentive, merely increased it from 84,000 to 90,000. But based on inflation, unemployment, and the 4% given by the CPO, the 6,000 increase is negligible. This upstart, right? This moron from wherever Doesn't know that the personal allowance was increased in 2016 from 60 to 72, and I think it was again in either 2018 or 2019 it was increased to 84,000, and then in last year it was increased to 90,000. But he wants to come and tell me that Raul only increased it once. I told him about the Brian Lara Stadium. Here what he want to tell me, right? Now, told him about the 3 ferries. Yeah. As we're on the topic of ferries, where are the water taxis hiding? And who owns the new ferries? And like you forget how much it cost. He says the new block at the Port of Spain General cost what US 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion US, right? Okay. After we got sued by the Chinese contractor. The hospital in Grandie is an Australian contractor, and all the materials came from their country, including steel and purlins. I was there to watch it offload. What the hell does that have to do with anything? It's a company called, and it wasn't even Australia, right? It's an Austrian company called Vamed, which is the contractor that would have done Point Fortin and is also doing Grandie. But he wants to say that because, as he says, an Australian contractor, that means the government they do nothing. So who paying the contractor? You clown. He goes on, hear this one. The QREP interchange was a vision of Patrick Manning, not Keith Rowley, and as such, various parts were completed by different governments. Keith Rowley and built no interchange. Well, clearly, this clown must be from Barrackpore or Oropouche East, because he doesn't know the difference between QREP and Grand Bazaar. Because as far as I know, Patrick Manning started the Grand Bazaar interchange, right? And it was almost complete under him when the PP came in 2010, and they finished it off. And they put that traffic light Christmas tree, Suraj Rambachan put there when they took out all of the traffic lights. Mr. Manning would have also started the Arangwes interchange. Nothing was done. So see this clown who want to try and come and educate me and tell me, I who live in the East, passing there every day, and know that the QREP interchange was started under the Keith Rowley administration. It was a source of bacchanal under Kamala Prasad Bisesa. But this clown come from wherever he is to engage the page to want to tell me that that was a vision of Patrick Manning and it was built on this. You see, and this is the level of idiocy that exists in that party. And they spreading this propaganda, you know. I'm going again. Him. Let me see if I get it here. The president's house needed to be abandoned, and that office, which is a bloodsucker and brings no tangible value. Yeah, so we should have abandoned president's house. Spoken like a true UNC supporter. But this is the one that got me, right? Right. The Brian Lara Cricket Academy that he didn't want his name associated with. When did Brian Lara say that? Couldn't get approval to host an international cricket game after you spend $2 billion. Have you ever, and he puts ever in capital letters, seen a game at the completed stadium? Let me make sure I get his name correct. Marvin Okira. I award you the Jockey Shorts Award of the week. Right? You getting the Jockey Shorts Award for this week. So many CPL games have been hosted at that Brian Lara Stadium. CPL final. Some of the very same UNC supporters who had nothing good to say about it from 2010 to 2015. First to walk through the gate when they had the CPL matches there, right? To the point where they tried to sabotage it by putting things in the toilet and all kind of nonsense. But coming to ask here if I ever see a game there. You must be a special breed of dunce. Like they're breeding a new kind. You are hybrid dunce. I don't know. That level of stupidity, I have to wonder if I am in the twilight zone. Idiot. But want to come and challenge me with all of this certain nonsense. What else he post there, boy? When I see this, I told him about the houses that the HEC built. All of the different housing developments that were abandoned by the People's Partnership, which this government came in and completed and built new ones. He tried to debunk that. Yeah. Don't tell lies. Manning built 6,000 HGC units that was abandoned by the UNC. Okay, it abandoned for 5 years. They were in power. Where the 6,000 houses go on magic? HGC give out 6,000 houses when? See how lies this work. When the party that he clearly supports was giving out 100 houses a week in the lead up to the 2015 general election. Where those houses came from? Magic? Marvin? Monilal Weaver Magic One? And he created these houses. Where they came from? Yeah, clown. Come again. Let me get this one. There was something else he said. The small and medium contractor program that the HGC put into place to give the average contractor, as I've told you all before, You know, the contractor who you would hire when you need to do some work on your house or you're building your house, you know, piece. You don't want to take no mortgage and all that, you take a loan. And those contractors who would normally rely solely on domestic jobs. And the HGC created a program to give them so that they could participate in the construction sector, right? And get something from the HGC. So they would have been given between 3 to 10 houses to build, depending on their size and the capacity and so on. And it was the profit was supposed to be 100,000 per house. Here is club. Small and medium contractor program. Maybe you never submitted a tender. I submitted 7 and had to pay $300 for the package, then to realize it's friends and financiers getting through. No transparency. I'm certain nobody could have beaten my bid, but guess you will never know. First of all, it wasn't a bid system. So the HGC established fixed budgets for the house. It's $500,000 a house. The expectation was that the house would cost $400,000 and the profit is $100,000. So you didn't have to make any bid. You come and you get the application documents, you fill it out. They just had to make sure that you had all of your documents in place with respect to if you required a VAT certificate. Some people didn't. They wanted to see that you had seed capital with respect to a bank statement or something from the credit union, because what they were saying, they would have given you a letter once you awarded the contract to go to the financial institution to show, well, look, you got a contract from the HGC to build 5 houses, 10 houses, as the case may be, and so that the bank would be willing to advance you some money just for the start, and the HGC, when they make the drawdown, would pay you back. He complained that he had to pay $300 for the package. First of all, it wasn't 3, it was $500. So I know he lied. He submitted 7 bids. Really? 7? And you only pay $300? Because for each package that you would have bid on, you had to pay $500 for the package. So you should have paid $3,500, not $300. You see how they sketch these bastards lying? Anyway, he goes on again to say, let me see. I told him about the highway from Valencia to Toco. When last you went Toco, I feel you need a revisit. What does that have to do with the highway? Jockey Shots Award, man. What does that have to do with the construction of the highway? Yeah, hybrid idiot. I spoke about the CCC, mentioned that, right, that the government remove VAT on cell phones, laptops, and so on. He says remove VAT on cell phones, laptops. So tell me, is a phone cheaper now or before? More corruption again, these savings not reaching the consumer. I wouldn't even bother with it. He asked, what is the benefit of the Civilian Conservation Corps if there's no employment? Look at people went for cruise ship work for work in the prison. After CCC and the youth camp, then what? Well, that's why it's intended to give them skills to start their own business. And now it's not just they go to the youth camp or they go to CCC, they do the course and then they leave and fend for themselves. There is now a grant scheme in place where they could now get up to $20,000 to start their business, to get the business off the ground, and then they will get support from NIDCO if they need to get further funding in larger sums to be able to expand their businesses. Your cloud, educate yourself. Maybe you need to start looking at real issues with Dominic Romain so that you could be educated instead of coming on the page and talking rubbish and demonstrating the depth of your stupidity. If it is all you can't come and make some positive contribution, please just read and move on. Observe and move on. I don't have the time. And I'm sure the rest of the admins don't have the time either to be engaged in all your foolishness and idiocy. Go on Doglaya politics and talk that stupidness. Go on the Underground Report and talk that nonsense. When they have in the Monday Night Forum and they're streaming it on the UNC page and Doglaya page and wherever else, go there and make those comments, please. Because you will find comfort and solace and commiseration for that level of idiocy and stupidity of the waterfront ilk. We don't tolerate that here. So don't let me wasting my time to be engaging you on your folly and foolishness and playing smart with foolishness. Right? Wow, boy. Anyway. I ain't staying long to this morning, you know. But it is really riled me up. I'm fed up. I really fed up with them. Yeah, so in a few minutes, I need to be able to, yes. Alison is telling me to post a list and leave that. I will do that, Alison. I will definitely do that. Yeah? I know I've said we will do that for a while, so we will. because there's a lot of things like this, and look out for other ministers who will be joining me in the coming weeks and the coming days to share information about what their ministry is doing. So far, we've had the benefit of Marvin Gonzalez and Foster Cummings, and we've learned quite a bit from that. I know I have Stuart Young lined up. I'm trying to see if I could get Fitzgerald Hines as well to come on, possibly Faris Al Rawi, Rohan Sinanan, the Minister of Education. So we will see. We'll play it by ear because we only have about just under 3 weeks again before the election. So I try to see how many of them I could get to come in to share more information with you guys on what is happening with their ministry, because there's a lot taking place. Unfortunately, as Marvin had to admit, they're not doing enough to sensitize or to make people aware of what is happening in the respective ministries, and they are now working on that. I hope it's not too late, but as many platforms as we have now, we can't rely on 91.9 anymore. You will see what is happening there. I am not surprised if 91.9 turns into a UNC station very soon. I imagine that is going to be one of their platform stations going into the general election. I understand that the owner of that station is not convinced that the PNM can win the local election, and so he is positioning himself to benefit from. There's money to be spent, and depending on the outcome of the August 14th election will determine how much funding the UNC will get from their financiers. So those who are taking a backseat now and waiting to see if this accommodation between Jack, Gary, and Kamla can bear fruit to the point where they could feel confident that they could carry that momentum into 2025 and win the general election. Now, clearly work has to be done in Tobago. Whether or not Fali Augustine and his band of merry misfits will self-destruct before then, we don't know. But we will see how that goes. We will see if the police investigation, what it would yield and what the outcome of that would be. But of course, we know Fali is creating a narrative such that if it is he is eventually arrested and charged, that it is that is politically motivated. That the police is a mongoose gang of the PNM. And you notice Kamla Prasad-Bissessar and Fali Augustine are saying the exact same things. And in some cases, what Fali is saying is verbatim, word for word, the things that Kamla Prasad-Bissessar is saying on the Monday Night Forum. So clearly it seems there's some kind of symbiotic relationship taking place there. But we understand that the UNC is heavily depending on those 2 Tobago seats. And I think PNM in Trinidad needs to come up with some way to be able to lend support to Ansel Dennis and those folks over in Tobago. We cannot simply rely on Fali making a fool of himself, okay? Because he has his support. I don't know about Watson Duke. He doesn't seem to be, it seems like he didn't get a memo that the general election is 2 years away, and therefore he should be starting to try and rebuild his party if he intends to contest those 2 seats. But he in Trinidad serenading long-standing PNM supporters, and the woman don't want to hear him. You know, he's singing her happy birthday and telling her how she's so beautiful, and she said, yes, all the time. You're looking younger all the time. She ain't your study. Go from here. You have work to do in Tobago. But we don't depend on you. We know what it is that we have to do. I don't know if Aisha intends to call out the Red Army, which is something she used to do very well when she was on 91.9. Now with Google not being there, so it is left really to Juliet on that station, and well on I-95, Darren, Marcel, John and John. But clearly there needs to be a clarion call, to borrow Mr. Tabakit's saying, a clarion call to the Red Army to come out on August 14th, to lend support to your candidates now. If you have the time to come out in the afternoon and maybe even give them a half an hour or walk with them, and that would help, definitely. But talk to your people. Try and debunk all of these lies and foolishness, and let's talk about inheritance tax and all these things. It is untrue. And that's another problem that I have with this thing with Vishnu, with Biznat, or whatever the hell his name is. You know, you're talking about in your letter that you put out, your post that you put out about the Prime Minister breaching the thing and information without evidence. The UNC lying about this inheritance tax. Lies. Up to now, they cannot provide one shred of evidence, not a document, nothing leaked, nothing. But they're just coming up with ideas with airy-fairy thing. They sit down in a room. What lie we could come out with today that we could push. Yeah? That we feel we don't need to present evidence of, but based on the track record of the government, it could get wings. That's what they're doing. And they're coming up with these lies, talking about this inheritance tax, put up a big billboard in Taruba. Or the PNM bringing inheritance tax 25%. But up to now, Kamala cannot produce one shred of evidence, just like she couldn't produce one shred of evidence, one document to show that Rowley increased the price of flour by 33% a month ago, and 1 week later, the price of flour fell. But of course, her supporters run with that because I realized she never talked about that again. So she get caught in that lie. But Rowley's a liar. Rowley say that he was not closing down Petrotrin. Well, when I bring Stuart Young on the program, we will deal with that comprehensively, once and for all, right? Hopefully we just we deal with that. But they're suffering from cognitive dissonance. So it don't matter what you tell them or what proof you provide, waste of time. Because they are set in their ways. They don't want to hear nothing of substance. They don't want to hear truth. Truth is anathema to them. So don't even talk that. Don't even talk that. Waste that time. So we're not really focused on them. I know there are plenty of them listening here and they engage the page. I know all they want to cuss us, but yet still every day saying so and so joined, so and so following you, so and so followed you. If we lying and we talking nonsense, what are they following the page for? But we're happy to have you all. We're happy because we know hopefully maybe you all might learn something and some of you probably have a modicum of decency and integrity left in you to decide, yes, they're really making sense. We don't hold out hope for too many of you, but hopefully it have a small amount of you all who could probably have some level of influence. Yeah? And then with this next one, Philip Alexander, well, boy, folks, I listened to this man do a live yesterday on the 4 show. It had a backup of traffic yesterday because there was an oil spill on Ryson Road heading east just after you cross the lights after O'Connor Street there, the lights, forget that street. Is it Anna Street? I think it's Anna Street. So they blocked off the road from the lights there, and the fire services were there spraying some sort of chemical or something on the ground to treat with the oil spill. So traffic had to be diverted on the Maraval Parkway onto O'Connor Street and some other streets there, while the fire services dealt with that. So traffic was backed up all the way down to the west, almost to West Mall down on that side. So apparently he was heading to Mayaro, so he left his home and he had some meeting in Mayaro for 5 o'clock. So he thought if he left by 3 o'clock, that 2 hours would be sufficient to go Mayaro. I don't know if it is that he driving a rocket, but anyway, either that or he not living in Trinidad. So he decides to do a live while he in the traffic and talking about the Crawford Stadium, which is currently under some renovation, much and long needed renovation, but especially for the Commonwealth Games, Youth Games, that is coming up, I think, on August 11th or something like that, sometime next month. And he's saying that the cost to refurbish and to renovate the stadium is 100 million. I don't know what it is with this man that he always feels he needs to exaggerate figures. He just like Gary, who he always cussing, that the amount of money the government gave him, so he say, to go after the UNC increased from 30 to 35 to 40 to $45 million. So what he's saying is $100 million to renovate the Hasely Crawford Stadium. Where he get that? I don't know. Just like the other day, he put out a post saying that there are over 30,000 black youths in the prison system in Trinidad and Tobago. The total prison population of Trinidad and Tobago is less than 6,000. But he said there are over 30,000 African youth in the prison system. Really, Philip? Where you just get your statistics from, pal? These things are easily fact-checked, and all I just talk this thing like off the cuff as if everybody's stupid and nobody going and check that. When a man said 30, I said so much people in prison in Trinidad. Nah, man. So I had to go and Google it for myself. Less than 6,000 people incarcerated. But he said 30,000, and he have a following. And he has a following, and that's why, as I told the Minister of Public Utilities on Tuesday night, that I listened to some of the lives that this man has done, and he has all these grandiose plans. And this is why some people are gravitating towards him, because he has all of these grand plans to fix this and to fix that. With respect to water, talking about establishing catchment areas in the different parts of the country and so on, and the Caroni Central, the Caroni main, the Caroni water treatment plant, and you have these lines running along the highway and all of that, and that shouldn't be. And if he becomes the prime minister, and he would do this and he would do that. And listening to Marvin Gonzalez on Tuesday night, on all the things that the government is currently doing, the things that Philip Alexander talking about, and the grand plans that he has to fix the problem, the government is already treating with that. Where Marvin would have told us that they intend to drill wells, that they intend to build more water treatment plants in different areas to relieve some of the burden on the Caroni water treatment plant, so that when they're finished, those areas in on the east-west corridor that are currently served by the Caroni plant, they would be served by the new water treatment plants, and the water that is generated now from the Caroni plant could now be sent to central and south. So you're going to see a significant improvement in the water supply down on those sides, where they like to see the PNM always discriminating against UNC constituencies. But here it is that things are currently in place. But again, we don't know these things. It's only if you get an interview with the minister you will get to know. And so he's now looking at ways and means by which they could disseminate this information so that people can have it. So when they come on Facebook and the other social media platforms to talk the trash, they tell them go from here with that. And so that people will no longer be mesmerized. Look at here what Philip say. Philip Dreamy, that's Trinidad Barbie. Oh gosh. I wish Philip was the prime minister. You know what I'm saying? Up to now, we still can't account for the Jericho project yet. But we're taking that chill up. Anyway, 7701763 said, I have an early morning, and I should have been taking calls since 7:30. But anyway, that's not. I'm going to turn this thing off here. Put this on. Yes, no. Get this here. Jenny, morning. Hello.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning, Jen.
Morning to all those who are actually on Facebook and YouTube. I saw two political people analysts.
Yes.
Dr. Shane Jimenez, Dr. Indira Rampasyan, and Dr. Vishnu Raghunath. And they were saying that the PNM should be worried because Japan has resources.
Yes.
And I want to tell them as many PNM should be worried is the citizens of Trinidad should be worried that the UNC after calling Japan a criminal and that he doesn't discriminate and teach him. Because even from the PNM, they are all over. A man who wants to put up his name on a shirt in Google, all they're going to see is extradition and all he did in PISA. He's a disgrace man. Coming back and looking the credit on the stage that we should be worried about that. And Gary Griffith's name has been implicated in alleged situation with the FUL and all those guns that were given out under his tenure. And all the ammunition that is in this country, military grade ammunition, is being put on a sleeping camera and PNM to be ready. And come up as my herself, a female leader who have been called by Jack Warner and also Gary Griffith that she have a 5-day weekend. They go talk with she and what they go do, she's not a good leader. And then she on stage and the PNM should be worried. If the citizens of this country should be worried if we allow them to get back into the halls of power in this country. And I want to ask Dr. Vishnu Raghunath, if he's the same person who never questioned marks with his doctorate, because there was issues of plagiarism from one of our own black intellectuals, deceased Lloyd Best. I wonder if you see Vishnu Raghunath. And I want to know if Dr. Shane Mohammed is the same one who in 2015-16 was speaking about the unfair practices in the UNC with the internal elections I have nothing further but to say the state of the UNC when it comes to democracy.
Yes.
And I want to name Dr. Sheila Rampasad. If she's the same person who was a part of the UNC's team when it comes to the internal election, this was on the team for that. And I want to end by saying, just the same way I'm taking the words from Kamala Prasad, just the same way she couldn't support the CCJ because there was no Indians on it. I can't support the report coming, the analysis coming from Dr. Rampasad, Dr. Raghunan, and Dr. Mohammed, because me and senior person of African descent here. So I just want to say at the end of the day, people of Trinidad and Tobago is not just good in listening to Dominic and say, you get good information about listen to Titans Democracy and Felix William, or Julia Daisy, Mr. Ruka, Darren Master, and Dylan John Denver, and all those who begin after Google bringing the information to you. It's not just going to say this and learning something more. That does nothing if you don't get up on August 14th, 2023. Get up early to get to the polls because you have a day of public officials. I don't know who can in this country have a day off. Get up early, get some day hours off to do. Exercise your franchise, exercise your right, and go to the polls early, August 14th, and vote resoundingly for all the PNM candidates. So that Jack Warren, Gary Griffiths, Kamala Prasad, and all those who oppose the good things that are happening in this country, Philip Alexander and others, to make sure they don't get a vote, the loss, the deposit, and PNM is able to have the ornament and the mail to make sure local reform puts out the right way so that all the businesses will have a path to stay and play in how the taxes are collected and how the money is to be spent for them. In the absence of that, all the work Dominic has been doing and all the other days at home will be in vain. To just say you're doing something. Take that knowledge and let it translate into votes for the People's National Movement on August 14th. Dominic, thank you for the opportunity and be safe today, and everybody have a blessed day.
Thank you, Jen. See here, 77701763. I can probably go up to maybe 8:30. And then I have to bust out. Let's see, where is this thing? Right. There was something I wanted to touch on yesterday, right? Which is Kamala Prasad, not yesterday, the day before. Kamala Prasad Bisesa on Monday night complaining about 2 PNM candidates campaigning about grants. Just let me get this here. Yeah, that's not. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up here. Right. Grants for votes. Opposition leader sees corruption in flyers. Opposition leader Kamala Prasad Bisesa has called for police investigation into what she described as blatant political corruption in the use of state resources by the PNM local government candidates who, via flyers, have invited people to call and visit them for grants. There are also reports of a political party purporting to represent WASA, promising to undertake works and taking credit for work done by the state utility, which has resulted in WASA's phones being inundated with inquiries. Now, what is on the flyers of these 2 men? One, the candidate for coca trafficking, Imran Ali, says, offering assistance to the public for the following services: rainwater grant, house wiring, HEC housing grant, HEC subsidy grant, right? And then the other guy says, this is Brian Stewart, talking about general assistance or public assistance and many more. So my understanding of that is that they're offering persons an opportunity to assist them in filling out the forms and whatnot and applying for these various grants that are available. So anyway, and she's up in arms about that. And then here talking about this thing with respect to, we'll get it here. There are also reports of a political party purporting to represent WASA, promising to undertake works and taking credit for work done by the state utility, which has resulted in WASA's phones being inundated. I want to ask Kamla Prasad, Adrian Ali, who is the candidate, UNC candidate for Monroe Road, somewhere there, right? If you go on his Facebook page now, you will see practically every day, Mr. Ali is posting up photos of paving that is taking place in his district, or the district that he represented as councillor up until the 18th of May, when the Privy Council ruling came down, basically bringing to an end the life of the last councillors. You, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, told your councillors do not do anything. Henceforth, from this day onward, until the election, from the 18th of May, you are no longer councillors, you have no authority to do anything, and therefore, relax all yourself. Do not approve anything, do not participate in anything, and because my party, we, the Parliamentary Caucus, we will not be validating anything that you all do, and you're on your own. How is it now that Adrian Ali, the former councillor for Monroe Road, that area there, is posting up pictures of paving taking place in his former district and taking credit for it? How is he doing that? But you want to talk about some political party posing WASA and taking credit for work that WASA is doing. Really? Where is that? Where is this taking place? Because I am seeing clear-cut evidence on Adrian Ali's page of paving taking place. Is it that Faiq Mohammed, the mayor of Chaguanas, who is still in charge of the corporation? Is it that he is engaging in paving works in the district, in Adrian Ali's district, to give him a fillip or an advantage? Is that what is being done, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa? You see, you want to take out the log in other people's eye. Check your eye first, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. Who is doing these paving works? We know it is the Chaguanas Borough Corporation. But why is it that Mr. Ali is posting up these pictures and taking credit for that? So tell us, is it that the mayor and whoever else is in charge, the CEO or whoever else is in charge of the Chaguanas Borough Corporation, are now undertaking these paving works in that district to benefit Mr. Ali? Talk about that. But you're not going there. We want to know. Is that the case? And that is why when you're reading the comments under all the pictures that he posted, his very same Burgess is beating him left, right, and center, telling him all the time while you're complaining that the government give all your money and the borough corporation have money to do this. And for your entire term, people suffering with the poor state of the roads. But all of a sudden, election come and the corporation now could find money to do what they couldn't do for the last 3.5 years. So while he's trying to mamagai people in Monroe Road and that district, they're not falling for it. They're not having it. And I'm surprised and happy to see that there's persons who are UNC supporters calling him out on his folly. And he there, poor chap, trying to defend the indefensible. Cannot explain why it is these things couldn't have been done before. The 7 million that they have sitting down in unspent balances that Faris told us about, the 7 million. They're complaining they have money. Last year they wanted to send home a set of corporation workers because we don't have money to pay salaries. But you have $7 million sitting down in unspent balances, talking about that is for infrastructural works. The term of office has ended for the last council. But you have 7 million there and want to send people home. And that is what they want to go back and tell you vote for. Brian, morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Morning to your listeners and callers. But Dominic, that is the propaganda that is being spread by the UNC. The UNC are the architects. They are the kings and queens of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic, it still have $300,000 missing from the Superior Corporation.
Yes.
Now the borough of Superior. And I could remember the same me, you fella putting chair in Portal and saying that they had no money to fix and the government ain't doing anything.
At the moment they bring in the wheelchair with the one leg.
Exactly. But $300,000 missing.
Uh-huh.
Anybody talking about that? Where's the issue? Where's the state of that case? And but that they have no money. The government not giving them any money to do anything in the corporation.
Yes.
These are some of the issues that the corruption in areas held by the UNC, you understand, the Rio Claro Miaro, Cuba Talparo Regional Corporation, Sandy Grande, it is there. But when you have miscreants like that fella who we call him this morning Marvin or Mark
Marvin Okira. Yeah.
I feel he living under a rock, you know.
Had to be.
He living under a rock somewhere in Russia. For him to come and say that he has not seen any matches being played in the Brian Lara Stadium. I mean, how far can these lies go? Because I could remember they left it to rotten down. What you name the member for Princess Town was up and down in the parliament, complaining, wanted to go to court to indicate that and asking questions every time parliament opened. Have you all what have you all done? What you all doing with the Brian Lara Stadium? Have you all changed out all of the beans because they are rotted? It is unsafe for people to go and sit there. Before the last election of 2015, they wanted to spend close to $200 million to refurbish it. What Brian Lara said when he went to see it, he was ashamed. And he really didn't want to align his name with it, but he was told, listen, Dr. Rowley told him, don't worry, we are going to fix it. Because Brian Lara was of the view that it was so bad because of the 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days that absolutely nothing was done. And the UNC thought that this can't come back. And that is why the little misfit from Princess Town was blabbering up and down the road, threatening to go to court and threatening that people's lives were at stake if they would go there to see any matches. And the government spent $89 million to bring it back, refurbish it. And the first game that they were supposed to have there was a match that Brian Lara had arranged with his friends. And what did the UNC do? One of the friends was Sachin Tendulkar. They called the road Sachin, don't come to Trinidad, boy. Your life could be at stake, boy. Don't come here. They could dead. They insulted Brian Lara in this country. They insulted him. But you know something, they didn't write to Curtly Ambrose and them. No, they didn't write to those fellas. They wrote to Sachin Tendulkar, tell him don't come. And Sachin Tendulkar, maybe I don't know what happened, he just decided he wasn't coming. But the match still went on, and what happened when the match was about to go on? The UNC miscreants lined the highway leading up to the stadium.
Yes.
I was attempting to prevent people from going in there to witness the game. But they still got in there, the game started and they witnessed the game. But when they went to use the toilet, it had old clothes and orange and grapefruit and all kind of things in the toilet. Brand new toilets. This is what the UNC does. And then want to come and say they're going to take San Fernando. I hope San Fernando is listening, because this is the UNC. And they come with their propaganda and lies. So that fellow who say that, no games have been played there. That stadium has been authorized by the ICC to hold international games and first-class games. But he wouldn't know that because he living under a rock in Russia. Where he living, I don't know. But you see the propaganda and the lies. It's part of their DNA. And it is filtering out that they would never believe anything that is said otherwise. And that is why we pay them up to put out the information there, not only from those who Jenny just mentioned, but for everybody else to see. Take out front page ads and so on, full page ads to see, let us see what they have done. There's only so much that you, Dominic, and the others can do, because look at what is going on. We are being removed one by one to bring the information, because it is worrying Kamala Prasad-Bissetta. And she's getting, she's drastic to bring back a man like, what do you name, fugitive Jack Warner, who waited for the case to finish so they could bring down the U.S. Marshals to take him away. Imagine fugitive 82-year-old Jack Warner coming back to talk about things so bad in the country. Fugitive Jack Warner. And a man like Gary Griffith who can answer questions up to now about the FUL report and don't want us to hear what really in the report. If you so feel confident, Gary Griffith, why if this you don't let the report be read?
Mm-hmm.
But no, he will never allow that. You understand? And these are some of the issues and some of the concerns that I have. You understand? And I am telling the people, if all you do was to go back 20 years or back past 2015 and want to give these people a fillip into 2025, go out and vote. Wake up everybody, wake up your friends. Go out and vote resoundingly on the 14th of August for the People's National Movement and give a sound message to these people that tell them, hey, all your life, take it and put it where all your sun is shining. And we, at the end of the day, will be victorious and we will go on to continue to lead this country and to do better for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Brian. Let him go to the charity class. Mr. Brian, thank you very much. And I hope San Fernando, and not only San Fernando, all the so-called main corporations that are being held by the PNM, people come out on your numbers and vote. The other side treating this thing like a general election.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And good program to you, Dominic. I enjoyed the interview with Mr. Gonzalez. At the same time, I was watching information on Arima.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic, I watched good, sane meeting last night from Arima. It is totally different from what transpired on the Monday night forum. You hear me, Dominic?
Mm-hmm.
Good, same information. Unlike the other side, with moving on and talking about small print, who have big print and small print, but that's stupidness. No local government election issued on that side at all. But they're telling people to vote for them and people getting chained up. You know, Dominic, I did tell you this, but I think certain Trinidadians are kind of, it's a special stupid. I don't know if it is they have lead in the water, or we have short-term memory loss, or we have attention deficit. But there are some people not thinking at all, and they're going to make a big mistake on August 14th. That's how I see it. Right? I want people to realize something, right? And I will answer again, Dominic. If there's a fugitive wanted internationally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that person go on the political pulpit, would that be a concern for the people who want that individual?
Well,
and there's a possibility that this country could get blacklisted. Is there a possibility, Governor? Anybody realize that? So if somebody like me decide to go and travel to a certain country, is it possible that we could get trouble because we could get interrogated by the custom officers because of that individual? Possible? Is that possible, Dominic?
Well, anything is possible.
Okay. Because I remember the last time when a woman said that this country was an ATM machine, and our character neighbors treated Trinidadians from the period 2010 to 2015 like that. Well, you know, particularly those Jamaicans and them. I heard stories about Trinidadians who was so ashamed they had to change the nationality, telling them that they claim that they're from Barbados. You know, you ever hear them stories? So let them go on. Let them play the fool. And I want to tell people something. After the 14th, Prime Minister Dr. Raleigh is still the Prime Minister. So he's not like Mr. Manning to force a call snap election. He's not Mr. Manning. I want them to remember that apparently that is what they want Dr. Raleigh to do. Call a snap election. But Dr. Raleigh is not Mr. Manning. Dominic, you have a good day.
You too, sir.
And I'll watch your program tonight. Continue with the thing. Dominic, can I give you advice, please?
Yeah.
You talk about how people suffering, right? Just what's going on all over Movie Town, Price Plaza, C3, and just take pictures and just put it up on your Facebook page and perhaps some synergy and ask the people if this country really suffering. That's all you have to do. Because there's a lot of hypocrisy in this place. Right? Or better yet, go in KFC and just take pictures.
Yes.
And ask the question people suffering. That is all. And then we go see what's going on, right? You have a good day.
You too.
Continue good day. Right, that's it.
I saw an article yesterday on Facebook talking about Trinidad has the most KFCs restaurants per person than any other country in the world. No wonder why Prestige Holdings could be declaring $1.1 billion in revenue last year, and they projected to have an even bigger year this year, where after, if it was 6 months of this year, over $600 million in revenue, an increase of 120 something million dollars from last year. Last year was 511, this year is 620 something million in revenue. Right? Just take that into consideration. But yesterday we saw, on the heels of Moody's upgrade, Standard & Poor's has also given us a good rating as well, reaffirmed the stable, as the minister would have pointed out. When we got our when we got the rating last year from Moody's, we were at negative, and now we are at stable. So we're heading in the right direction. And Standards & Poor's and Moody's, unless they are a P&M party group, I would want to think that being international entities, that their ratings are reliable, that they would have come here, gotten the information that they need, and they are satisfied to stake their reputation to say, this is what we are seeing with respect to the economy in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad is a good place to invest in. So if you're a foreigner and you're looking for a Caribbean country to put your money to start a business, Trinidad is the place to go, right? They're saying to international lenders, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is a good government to lend money to. This is the macroeconomic fundamentals, and we are telling you yes. But you have all of them in the UNC. Every opportunity they get. The economy on the brink, and the economy in free fall, and the economy in shambles, and the economy in a mess. Well, the evidence speaks to the contrary. So continue with all your chocolate talk. But we know better. It's only the waterfront hill could buy that. Eric.
Hey, morning. Good morning to all listeners and all the viewers as well. You all know you're shopping this morning, man. I didn't know you were shopping this morning. But anyway, better late than never. I was saying morning to all the avid listeners and the viewers on the both lives, YouTube and Facebook. And very good point, Brian and Sister Jenny. No, Brian would have said they would have the UNC from 2010 to 2015 would have left the Banlara Stadium to ruts, right? But that is not the only project that they would have left, right? Because when the UNC would have assumed office in 2010, right, they would have left all the P&M, the previous Manning administration projects.
Mm-hmm.
To decay. Yes. And this is the problem we have in this country, right? Now, if the partnership would have continued where Manning would have left off, the country would have been in a far better position than it is right now. But you see, they had an agenda, because who can recall when as soon as they assumed office, the first thing they came out and said was what? The Treasury had no money. So their plan was already set aside to thief. Because then Manning had to bring out another press release and say how much money was left in the Treasury and in the HSF fund. Right? So them that had a plan already. Right? That's when they come and they say the Napa, remember Napa when they say it has so much of flaws and X and Y and this and that and all kind of things. They criticize Napa all how. They criticize the higher, but in front all how. When it was for the last 5 years, 3 months or 14 days for Parliament. Not the same Napa the same higher they was in.
Yes.
These people have no plan for this country. It has been going on so for the last 34 years. You understand? The last 34 years that they, as a UNC party, you understand? Nothing of substance whatsoever. Right? You come and you shove, nothing wrong with Belena Hospital, You come and shove a how much $1 billion hospital in Cuba, right?
Right.
What happens in the other hospital like in Mount Hope, the Mount Hope Children's Hospital in Mount Hope? Why you could refurbish that? The one in San Fernando, the one in Port of Spain, the one in Grande. You know the one that you know what you want to give your people in Central a sense of hope that the government, the PNM ain't care about we in Central. So they must shove a brand new hospital in Cuba, right? Not knowing that where you all build hospital, the Prime Minister, who's a geologist and a volcanist, said that you all built it on an earthquake fault line. So God forbid, if an earthquake ought to hit Trinidad and Tobago at a magnitude of 5 point something and higher, what will be the outcome of the hospital? Money going to waste. You understand? All they study that and they come to talk now. The PNM government wicked and the government bad and they care about people long and in this corporation and what kind of thing. And just what Brian rightfully said, where is the $300,000 unaccounted for in the Superior Corporation? You ain't hearing the then chairman do not Miru talking about that, but you jump on people's Facebook page and on people's live and talking all sorts of rubbish.
Yes.
You understand? That do not Miru. Ask yourself, as you being the chairman, no, could it be mayor, quote unquote, we ain't sure about that. But ask yourself, what have you done for the people in the Superior region? For the last how much years he did? He did since 2013. He did. Since 2013, do not Miru is the chairman for the Superior Corporation. What you have done for that area? But you're coming to talk and say how the government staff were for fun and all this corporation. Just as the real estate agent Ali, all of them coming to find money now to guide the people in this corporation. Because why? These people don't know whether they do or they do, Dominic. They will still go and vote these people. That is how they are. Whether they do or they don't do. So whether they mama guide them or they mama guide them, they're going to still voting these people. Because you know why? The leaders say what? It's about party, not country. You understand? It's about party. So they mean business. The Rook being at the deplorable states and they'll come 2 days before election and pave it. I will still vote them because it's about party. You understand? So at the end of the day, people, we have a local election, not a general election to fight. And we have to come out and show these people, look, before I leave Dominic, this guy down in Mayarode, I got to understand word on the ground in the Mayaro Regional Corporation that the UNC is losing ground in the Mayaro Regional Corporation. That is why that sort of allegation that the UNC is making to give the people that the PNM try to buy votes in that area. They're not losing ground in Mayaro. The UNC is losing ground in Mayaro Regional Corporation for already made that sort of accusation. But anyway, I know at the end of the day, come August 14th, we have an election to fight. And these people need, they're not supposed to be in no corporation. Come out, people, do what you have to do. Fight this election because your people, and I like what Tanti did up in Moruga yesterday. You understand? Yes. What she's telling Michelle and she people, Tanti tell them she only know red. Yes. She know no other thing. Your father in red jersey. She tell Michelle Benjamin and the UNC candidate down in Moruga that she know red. You understand? She only know red and telling her nephew. But I know your father, and your father is very Jersey, so why you're coming with these people? And here what was Michelle Benjamin response? What PNM, what the red do for you? What the red do for you? As the African bodies like on the road, on the ground. And you want to go and vote for in these areas? We listen a strong message. August 14th, only get up, do what you do. Say your prayers, take your family, your friends, your acquaintance, your enemy, your foe, whoever, and go and vote resoundingly. Go out and cast your ballot
forget about all the naysayers and the government in like people and the government is. And I must say, a really good program last night with Foster Cummins. Very good program. You understand? And these people need to sit down and understand what is being done. We had to get up and go and don't sit down there and expect the government to come and give you something in your hand. You understand? Yes. But in a long story short, good job, Dominic. You continue the fight. Only 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now is election. Or you go out and do what you have to do. Do your civic duty. I want to say good morning to Mr. Ira George. Is alleged I hear some big money pass. I know how true. I hear $3 million pass. Me, I ask some questions to shut down to the people on the radio station. Me, I just asking. It's alleged. I heard this big wrong back pass. But anyway, Dominic, good program. Locked on and listening.
Thank you, sir. Right, so that's it for this morning, folks. As I told you all, I have an early morning, but I just thought I'd still jump on here, notwithstanding the fact that I got 10 late last night after the show. So join me this evening on Real Issues with Dominic Romain. Remember, my guest tonight is Ms. Marilyn Gordon, former government minister under George Chambers and Eric Williams. So discussing a wide range of issues tonight going forward. I'm not too sure what's going to be happening on Tuesday because I know Tuesday is a holiday. Emancipation Day, so I do think we will have a program on Tuesday, but we'll still have it live instead of 6:30. I probably have it at around 11 a.m. on Tuesday, and then Sunday, of course. So enjoy the rest of your day. Have a productive one, and tonight, Synergy TV. And if you can't access Synergy TV, as some people, their cable provider doesn't have Synergy, you can of course catch us on Debunking UNC Lives with Facts, the Facebook page, and I think it is now being embedded into other pages as well. Some of the PNM pages will also be carried there. So whichever platform you choose, we are very appreciative. I'll try and see if I can open the lines tonight to take some calls, because the challenge we have in the studio is that based on the setup, it's only the host can hear when you are calling and not the guest. So they need to adjust that and tweak that a bit. It means in the background they'll have to turn up the volume or something for the guest to hear. So I'll try and see if we can facilitate some calls tonight. But for the last 2 nights, because the volume of information coming from the 2 ministers that we had as guests was so much, they needed the full 2 hours. Even though both of them tell me they could only make an hour, but when they get into the conversation and start sharing information, that 2 hours passes so quickly. Yeah. So and then all of them say 2 hours, that's plenty, and then afterwards they say that 2 hours wasn't enough, boy. So we'll see this evening how it goes. Yeah. So enjoy the rest of your day, folks. I am out.